Okay, I'm gonna start this over and I'm gonna do my announcement again because I just did it, but I did the review wrong because I had to stop it and go to the bathroom, and now I can't continue where I stopped. So now I'm gonna start again. I want to make a quick announcement. I'm gonna do a readathon thing for Pride Month. I've picked a few books off of Sam from Thoughts on Dooms. I picked some books off of her recommendation video for what you can read for the readathon, and I'm a little bit behind on that because I didn't know that it was happening, but now that I do, I want to do it. And I picked off a few books, but I still need to get them, so hopefully my bookstore will have a couple and then I will buy them. But the series that I'm reading now also counts for that. That is The Diviners by Libba Bray. I just did a review for the first one like a couple of minutes ago, and I'm gonna do a second one now. But I loved both of these books, and I think the most beautiful thing about this entire book is not just the writing, because the writing is awesome, but the characters. The characters are so fantastic, and they are the most flawed people. Not the most flawed, but they all have their own problems, and I love the fact that the author doesn't write perfect characters. They all have their own issues and their own demons that are chasing them. Some of them have literal monsters chasing them, but I will talk about that in a second. I'm just saying, like, especially in this book, we tackle in this entire series we tackle important issues like racism and sexuality and everything that people kind of, every single horrible human behavior that you can think of. We kind of see it in this series, but it's done in such a beautiful way that I appreciate the fact that the author did all of this. And because of that, I enjoyed it a lot more, because these are things that some people don't like to talk about, and she just did it. She put it in there, like, in the most fantastic way. So thank you to Libba Bray for doing that. I appreciate that, and I think as someone who loves every single person, whether they are straight or gay or black, white, whatever, I can get along with anyone. So as someone who can do that, I appreciate everything that you did with this series so far that I've read. Now, in this book, we start off with Evie. She is obviously the main character. We have actually 5 main characters in this book. The first one is obviously Evie. She is now being dubbed the sweetheart seer by the media in this one, because now everyone has found out about her ability and everybody wants a piece of her. And there is this reporter, let me just move my chair a little bit, this reporter named T.S. Woodhouse. And I liked his character, I just didn't like the way that at first he is acting like a friend. He acts like he wants to be her friend, and then he turns on her and says that she and Sam are lying about their relationship. Like, in the beginning, like, someone accidentally catches them together, Sam and Evie, and then this whole thing blows up, and they make up this story about them being in love and engaged. And then they obviously are not. It's a publicity stunt. But then everybody believes them. They become this media frenzy thing, and they become famous because of their engagement and the fact that this beloved sweetheart seer of New York has a bow, which was not my favorite part of the story, because it ruined Evie's character for me, because like in the beginning, like the first 350 something pages of the book, she is such a snob. Like, The only thing she cares about is getting attention from the media. She wants to be loved and noticed and adored. Everybody wants to be loved, but this is like ridiculous. This is like to the point of being ridiculous. And for me, I think she could have done, not the author, but the character could have done so much better if she just handled some situations that she finds herself in better. Because this is just the way that she did everything. Like, all she cares about is not Sam or her uncle or her friends or whatever. She thinks about herself. It is a me, myself, and I situation, which I did not enjoy. Like, I understand why the author did this, because the character herself is a very selfish person, like I said, and she has a serious drinking problem, in my opinion. She drinks a lot, and she gets drunk a lot, and she does stupid things a lot. And I like Evie, don't get me wrong. She is just one of the most flawed characters I've ever read in my life. Like, she's a realistic character, and I understand her, but some of the things that she does is just, it's ridiculous. Like, the only time she seems to deem fit to spend time with her friends is when she is having these ridiculous, way over the top parties at these hotels. And then even all she wants to do is take photos and read objects of people and lie to them about what she sees, because she can't cope with some of the secrets that she's keeping. And I think that she explained this to Sam at some point, is that is why she, not in so many words, but that is why she wants to drink so much, is because she wants to forget everything that she sees. Which is why I said I understand why she does it. It is just to the point where she needs help. I hope that changes, because she's drunk at the end of the book when they have to do something. I'll talk about that later. But one of my absolute favorite aspects of this entire book is Menthus and Theta's relationship. They are beautiful together. I want them to be happy forever. Like, I want them to be the happiest people ever to live on this earth. Like, I want them to be happy. They are so perfect. And he is so sweet and loving and kind, and he loves her so much. And I feel sorry for her at some point during this book, because she is hiding her ability from him, because she thinks he will think that she's a freak. Because Menthus, if you have not read the book, he has the I will not. I'm suggesting that if you haven't read the book, you don't read the part of this part. You don't watch this part of the video, because this is a spoilery section. But if you have not read the book, please go back and read the book and come back, and then just let me talk about it with you then. But bye, non-spoilery people. Anyway, he has the ability to heal people. He was called the Harlem Healer when at some point in his childhood. It was the healer, and his mom took him to church and let him heal every single person that basically came in there with an ailment. I don't know if it was broken bones, whatever it was, he fixed it. And as much as I appreciate that, I don't think you should use a child in that way. And despite what I'm saying, I still think his mom loved him. She loves him, or she loved him. I mean, she's a fantastic person. From what I saw, she's very protective of her children. It's just, you do not use a child in that way, because what you're supposed to do is protect them. But I'm just saying, because I don't have children of my own, but I do have younger siblings. So yeah. But I love Menthus. He's a fantastic person. And Theta, I felt so bad for her, because something happened to her at some point. She was very, very young, and that's what caused her to come to New York and look for a fresh start. But I can't spoil that for you. You have to read it for yourself, because the ending of the book has an actual huge piece of information about that. But you have to read it for yourself. And she has this ability that she's hiding from Menthus, like I said, and he doesn't know. And she and Sam are now keeping this secret, because she made Sam an accomplice in her lying to Menthus, which I understand because she was afraid that Sam would say something to Mentos, because Mentos and Sam became friends at some point during the series that we didn't actually see. I think they just got to know each other. And he does not feel comfortable keeping the secret from his friend, but as long as she ends up telling him at some point, I think it would be fine if he kept it from him for a little while. But because they are in a situation where she has to use this ability, and that's when Sam sees it. That's all I'm going to tell you. My favorite aspect of this book is the dream walking, because Henry is a dream walker, and one of the first things that we learn in this book is him being able to do this, because in the first book he talks about him and Thera both having an ability, but he doesn't elaborate on that. And he walks in people's dreams. But the problem is, every single time he wakes up, he can't move. Like, his muscles are just, they don't work properly when he wakes up the first time. Which I completely understand. It makes sense to me. I know a lot about lucid dreaming, but I will explain that at some point to you. But everything that happened in this book made sense to me, except for one thing that I'm going to explain now. But it's just the fact that he can dreamwalk is the most cool thing ever that I think I've ever read about. Like, I love dreamwalking in a book. It's fantastic. And I think in like the first 50 pages of this book, I believe, he meets a girl named Ling Chan. And she's a 16-year-old or 17-year-old Chinese girl who cannot walk, like, not like me, not like in a wheelchair, but her legs don't work, so she uses braces and crutches. So I think actually her legs are actually worse than mine. That made me feel so bad. But she feels constant pain in her legs, and she walks with crutches and the braces, like I said. But the thing for her is she cannot walk normally in the real world, so the only escape for her is dream walking, where she can walk like a normal person. But which I have complete sympathy for. I loved her. I love her so much because I can see myself in her in a lot of ways. And she is a very cynical person. She's straight up. She can be a little bit of a biatch sometimes. She is very straightforward. She is very she refuses to believe that there's one thing in this world that might not be able to be explained by science, because she's a science freak. She wants everything to have a straightforward explanation, and that is sometimes not possible in the world that we live in today. But again, I understood her so completely that it was like reading something about myself. I absolutely love reading from her perspective. And at some point during the book, there is something called the sleeping sickness epidemic that happens in this book. And people start falling asleep. And they dream. You can see that they dream because their eyes move behind the lids. If you look at someone and they're lying there, their eyes are moving, but they don't wake up. And they get these sores all over their body, these horrible red sores everywhere. And then one of Ling's friends dies because of this sickness. And she decides that she's going to find out what happened. And she and him, by accident, it's one night when Henry is dreamwalking, they run into each other. And then she runs away from him because she thought she was the only person in the world who can dreamwalk. Of course she did, because that makes sense, but let me just stop talking. Now they meet up, and she runs away, and he decides when he wakes up to go looking for her. And her parents run something in Chinatown called the Tea House Restaurant, which I loved as well. They meet and they decide to do dream walking together, and at some point Henry tells Ling that there's someone from his past that he's trying to find. And I'm not gonna tell you who that is because I don't want to spoil anything. but he loved this person and he wants to find him. And he ends up finding him, but that is the saddest part of the book, so I'm not going to go into that. But he ends up finding him. And they are so beautiful together, these two people. They are just precious to me. I want them to be happy. I want them to have a beautiful life, but unfortunately, because of something that happens, that is not possible. But I can't tell you about it because then I will spoil the whole thing for you. And but they are just so beautiful together. And another thing that I want to talk about is Gaspard, who is this dog of this is a pet of the guy that Henry is seeing. And he is just so cute, the dog. Oh my word, he's adorable. Um just I love them. I love every single character in this book. But the thing that makes me most sad is Sam. Sam is just in this book he becomes obsessed with something called the Buffalo Project, which is this secret government organization that is, I think, kidnapping people and using them for something. I'm still confused about the whole Buffalo Project thing because I think that's Sam thinks that's what happened to this person that he loved, and he wants to find this person. But and at the end we find out who it. Oh, at some point in the book we find out who it is because Sam doesn't have any siblings. He doesn't have brothers or sisters, but he has this person who he loves. And I don't want to tell you who it is because it's going to spoil a lot, so I'm not going to say who. But he has this person who is like a huge part of his life, who loves him. And Evie decides to help him with this secret mission of his. And that's the part of the book that I enjoyed the most, is them seeing them and the dynamic growing together, and it's fantastic. But I'm still saying, I love Sam and Evie. It's just I think they have to grow up, and I think they have to do the growing together, if you know what I mean. Because Evie still has a lot to learn about life, and I'm only 20, so I can't really talk about growing up and whatever. But I'm just saying, at some point you gotta wake up and smell the roses, because she is just in this fantasy world where she thinks everything is just gonna work out for her. You have to work for something if you want to have it in your life. And Sam kind of makes her realize this because, like I said earlier, she ignores her friends completely during this whole ordeal that she keeps everything that she does with Sam, like the whole Buffalo Project investigation thing, she keeps to herself. Only she and Sam know. And then she brings in T.S. Woodhouse, who ends up helping her and finds out some stuff, and then that's when he finds out that he thinks that she and Sam are faking the whole engagement thing. And now I'm gonna go into the section where I have to talk about Isaiah, who is Manthis's brother. This sweet kid, like he and Blind Bill. And I have to talk about this because, like I said, Blind Bill is this guy. I don't know if I talked about this earlier, but I can't. Blind Bill is the blind character, obviously, in this book, and he's a homeless guy, and he forms this bond with Isaiah and Manthis. And we don't get to see a lot of Sister Walker in this one. Sister Walker is the nun that helps Isaiah with his arithmetic. Is not really the truth. They make up a story to get past their Aunt Octavia, who I despise. But I just I like Sister Walker. She's a very nice person. And she goes on this road trip thing with Will that made no sense to me. That is the only part of this book that I didn't understand, is the road trip, and then obviously the Buffalo Project situation that we have going on. But those two, like, we get a lot more history of Will and what made him who he is today, because he's a very unusual person. And while they are gone, Sister Walker obviously doesn't take care of Isaiah and Manthis anymore, and Isaiah sleepwalks. He gets these visions, and I think he gets visions. He sees things that can happen in the future, and he dreams because of that. And he walks, and he forgets everything that is going on around him, and Mentis ends up having to wake him up. And he forms a bond with Blind Bull. Like I said at the end of the last video, Blind Bull had an ability. I don't know what it was, but it was taken away from him, and I think it has something to do with what's gonna happen in the next book. But now, he is trying to suck Isaiah's ability up and take it for himself, which is the most disgraceful thing I've ever read about. But I understand again why Libba put it in there, because we have to see Blind Bull the way he really is. But I liked him in book 1, but I do not like him anymore. Like, I understand, like, he wants to get revenge. If someone did something like that to me, I would probably want to hunt them down and kill them as well. But yeah, I don't like him anymore because he's taking advantage of a child. And then we have the mysterious man in the stovepipe hat. Let me just say something here, because I have a theory about who that is, and I can't say anything until I read the last book, because then I might be spoiling myself anyway. But I have a theory, and this thing, entity, whatever you want to call him, is called, like I said, the man in the stovepipe hat. And Adelaide Proctor, who is one of the old ladies in the first book, she made a deal with this man in a stovepipe hat to see the love of her life for one last time. And since then, she is stuck in this bargain with this man in the stovepipe hat. And these are small details. Like, I don't think many people would remember them if you don't focus on everything, and because there's so much happening. And then we get this ominous warning from Adelaide Proctor. I think it's Adelaide Proctor, who tells Henry that something horrible is going to happen to him. And he does this dream walking thing with Ling, and Ling and him end up being hunted or haunted or whatever by these creatures in this dream world. And there's this old train station, and they go into this train station to be like alone and spend time away from everything. Henry plays the piano, and Ling just sits around and critiques his songs, which is so funny. And then she meets a girl named Wee May, I think is her name. I don't know how to pronounce that, because it's Chinese and I suck at it. But this girl forms an attachment to Ling, and we find out she has a huge part in the sleeping sickness plot. But I'm not going to tell you what happens, because then it will spoil the entire book. But this entire book was fantastic. Everything about it was great except for Evie's attitude. I loved everything about it. And like I said, I do not like Mentis' Aunt Octavia. I will say that until the end of time. She is a horrible person. I do not like her at all. I don't know what part Blind Bull is gonna play in the next book, but I'm looking forward to seeing it. And one last thing I just want to say is, hats off to you, Libba Bray, for writing a book with a disabled character in it. Like I said, I really, really, really appreciate that. And I hope Ling finds the love of her life in the next book. I want her to be happy, because her friendship with everyone at the end of it's fantastic. And the ending of this book is very, very sad. Like, I wanted to eat an entire box of chocolates after reading this book. So just a quick warning. But I really, really, really enjoyed this book. It is fantastic. It's one of the best sequels I've ever read in my life. I absolutely love this book. So I hope you enjoy reading it. And if you haven't read it, I would love to hear your thoughts about it, your ins and outs. We can talk about it. We can discuss it. I look forward to that. The next book I'm gonna be reviewing is gonna be obviously the third book in this series, which I know is gonna break me in half, because that's what happened with this one. It broke my soul in half reading this thing. It made me happy, it made me cry, it made me angry, it made me feel every single emotion that you want to feel when you're reading a book. And this did that for me. I loved it. I loved it so much. So, again, thank you so much to Libba Bray for writing this book, and I cannot wait to read the third one. I don't even know how I'm gonna survive actually reading the series and having it in my life, because I don't know how I'm gonna survive waiting for the last book to come out. Please write it, Libba Bray. If you're watching this video, please write the fourth book so we can all live a happy life or whatever. I wanna. I love this series. I love it so much. But I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did, and I'm sorry if I'm rambling. I'm one of those people, I talk a lot, so you better get used to it if you want to watch my channel. Bye everyone. Thanks for watching.